Chris. Thank you for joining us.
Pleasure. Good to be here.
As we saw actually this summer, so we have many issues, but climate change is getting bigger and bigger. So we had, unfortunately, many fires in Turkey and in other many countries. So it's getting more and more important to pay attention and to make investment-friendly climate change. So there is a criteria, actually international criteria, ESG. So I want to have the details of this project, ESG, the criteria. This is environmental, social, and governance. So how about making investments and, making production and climate friendly? And what is the current situation right now?
Well, thank you. I mean, first of all, it's been shocking and dreadful, the fires in Turkey over the last number of weeks, and lots of people lost their properties and their livelihoods, and we hope that everything will get back to normal as soon as possible. But it's a clear indication of what's happening in the climate, and we're seeing this across the whole of the Mediterranean, now in Algeria, in Africa, the United States again, and so it's real. It's not something that's being created artificially, and we don't want to live in a Trump world of denial and disclaiming that there's no climate change. So it's very important, and climate change has now gone up the priority list on in everybody's agenda, government agendas. We have COP26 in the UK. In November, and the UK are hoping to lead the initiatives on how to bring climate change into play and how we protect our global world for the next generation. So ESG and sustainability are all part of that, and this is something that we're all working hard to move forward. Now, I mean, basically ESG is about the environment. It's about social and it's about governance, and it affects us all, no matter what role we're in, what business we're in, how we live, how we contribute to protecting the climate and ensuring that we have sustainability. So when you look at it, I mean, environmental criteria includes energy in your company, takes in waste and how we discharge waste, resources that are needed to do this, and the consequences for living as a result of this. And encompasses carbon emissions and climate change are really at the core of this, how we bring about the reduction in the carbon footprint and how we live our lives in order to protect our climate, and how we can bring sustainability into play for the world, for the rest of society going forward. In terms of social criteria, that's the environmental part. So the S part is about relationships your company has and the reputation that it has with people and institutions and communities in how they do business. So it follows on from corporate social responsibility. So we are organisations that have a role to society and the society and communities that we work and live in. So companies have to be very conscious of the way they operate their businesses in order to be sustainable and also help communities and their workers and their other supply chains have sustainable and ESG policies embedded in their businesses.
Okay.
So and then governance, it comes to how we govern our businesses. Corporate governance, it also reflects on the political agenda as well, in terms of country governments. As I said, in the UK now we have this COP26, and our government has a green strategy that it will be launching in UK. So all the countries attending the COP26 will have to come with their own plans and policies to support sustainability, climate change and ESG.
Yeah, in this COP26, Turkey will coming as
My
well.
understanding is Turkey will attend. So, Turkey will also be very conscious of making sure that it shows that it is engaged and maintaining some policies that will actually bring about sustainability and will be participating in ESG.
Yes, I see. For example, for a company or an investor, in order to to follow this criteria for ESG, how they can evaluate an investment, for example?
Well, we've been running webinars on ESG at the British Chamber of Commerce, and where we've been engaging with investors in Turkey, and also Turkish investors in UK. Now, in each of these conversations, ESG has been a major factor. So the way the financial institutions and investors are looking at ESG, if your company has got an ESG policy, it has embedded ESG in their governance, they will be valued higher than companies that don't. So all the incentives are for companies to actually engage with ESG and sustainability programs, because they will attract more investment than companies that don't. And we're already seeing that around the world.
We can see that?
We can see that. Corporate wealth, sovereign wealth funds, in Scandinavia and also in the Middle East to some extent, are now investing in ESG. They're investing in the companies that their sovereign wealth funds have invested in. They're also making sure that they're compliant with ESG, because that's the future.
Yeah, of course.
And ESG adds a value to your business. And if you fail to engage, your business probably will not be sustainable, because you will not be part of the global initiative. And this is vitally important for businesses to recognise that they have to engage, and they have to show that they are actively doing everything possible to maintain their businesses on the basis of the ESG criteria.
Okay, for example, how many big companies are engaging with the ESG? Can you give us some example around the world? And how about the situation in Turkey? Is Turkey enough aware of this situation?
Turkey is moving forward on ESG and sustainability. It could move quicker. And I think that will come. The private sector are very much aware of ESG and sustainability. We've seen this through our webinars, because obviously we want to attract more inward investment for Turkey.
Yes.
And they recognise that in order to do that, then they have to have ESG.
ESG, yes.
It needs to move quicker, it needs to scale up, and it needs to gather more pace. And also, government have to engage in that. That's all part of it. So moving away from fossil fuels, from coal, obviously as in the future, oil and gas will come into that, and more renewable and sustainable energy will be important. Turkey has all the credentials for that.
Right?
It ticks the boxes. It's got wind, it's got solar. I don't think there are many companies that have as many elements within its natural elements that will contribute to renewable energy. So Turkey has the resources there, and it's a question of making sure that the investments and government support is there to make sure that Turkey gets the benefit of that.
So in the report, I saw some big companies, for example, Morgan Stanley, if I'm not mistaken, who was generating with this ESG program. So there are big investors who are paying attention to that.
No, absolutely.
It's a huge thing.
Absolutely. Citibank and IFC, they've all got ESG and sustainable incentives for their clients, and Citibank and IFC in Southeast Asia are already practicing their policies in terms of providing investment to companies at a discounted rate to get companies in Southeast Asia to engage with sustainability and ESG. So, the big players, the big banks, the big financial institutions are very much aware of this because it's a value. And banks are interested in value. Investors are interested in value. And what ESG does is bring value to an organization for the future. And not just for the company, but for the global environment. And this is why it's so important. I mean, in my view, COVID's been a terrible, terrible thing. Global pandemic. But for me, climate change is a bigger problem than COVID because it involves everybody at every level, in every part of society, in every business that operates, because we've got to protect the globe, the world, for our future generations. And if we don't start now, we're already too late. That's what the scientists are saying. And we're seeing it through these terrible fires that have been, destroying, large parts of Turkey and other countries in the Mediterranean. So, it's clear what is happening, and now we have to take action.
Yes, absolutely. And as I know, for example, European Union has set also some criteria in terms of trading. For example, trading with climate-friendly companies as well. So this is affecting trade as well. For example,
there's carbon tax.
Carbon tax.
And I think this is going to be part of the future. We may hear something about this at COP26. That countries will have to, in their supply chains and their relationships with countries that they border with. You don't want to have sustainability programs and ESG in one country and across the border the other country's not contributing. So these things will all come into play because we need a global strategy about this, and everybody has to participate. It's like COVID in that respect. So everybody's got to work together. It's got to be inclusive. And that we will see more of that. And when it affects trade, it affects economies.
Of course.
So you have to engage.
Or pay tax.
Or pay tax.
Okay, so can you give us some big example of responsible climate change friendly investment with ESG, for example?
Well, I mentioned
just one. Yes.
Well, the sovereign wealth funds.
Sovereign wealth.
Yeah, there's instances here where Abu Dhabi Investment Authority, which is a sovereign wealth thing. They put £649 billion into their sovereign wealth thing to support ESG. So, and you've got other countries as well that are also engaged. So countries like New Zealand, and you would expect New Zealand because we all know New Zealand's a very well-run country. They've got 99% of their sovereign wealth fund looking into sustainability and ESG. So, and the Norwegians have also allocated enormous amounts of money from their sovereign wealth fund into ESG engaged organizations within their sovereign wealth fund.
Yes, is Turkey having this similar sovereign wealth fund, or we will get it in the near future?
We'll get that. I mean, I don't know is the answer to that. I'm not familiar with that, but I think it's something that will happen.
Will happen soon. Okay, so let's talk about trade a little bit because we had the Brexit. England exited from European Union, and and between England and Turkey we had the free trade agreement. So how that affected the trade, bilateral trade between two countries? And now that we have the Delta mutation that is threatening the trade sector still, so how do you see in the near future how we will get the numbers, the old numbers, the successful numbers?
Well, yes. I mean, our bilateral trade shortly before COVID
Yes.
was 19 billion pounds. So a very large number, and UK is Turkey's second largest export market. So I mean, there's no reason, there's no evidence to say that that will not continue and grow once we get through the COVID situation, which hopefully is coming to an end. Well, I'm not saying coming to an end, but under more control. And our ambassador has quoted already that during the first part of this year, after the free trade agreement was signed, we saw a big increase in exports to UK from Turkey. I think 47% or something like that. I mean, some of that would have been delayed orders, but it's going in the right direction. And there's no reason to think that this will not continue. Now, the free trade agreement does allow to renegotiate the current free trade agreement within the next 2 years. So, it's the UK's intention to get round the table again and renegotiate an enhanced free trade agreement that will bring in more sectors into the free.
Right?
It'll be expanded, enhanced and expanded. So, we expect that to actually give another piece of more momentum to our bilateral trade, particularly for UK companies, because the balance is very much in favour of Turkey. So we want to see more UK companies exporting as well. And we're actually seeing now some UK companies looking at Turkey as an access to the European Union because of the customs union agreement.
It's true.
Because things are not as perfect as we'd like them to be with the EU at the moment. We have one or two issues that we need to resolve. They will be resolved. But at the end of the day, Turkey does offer an opportunity to set up in the country and have that access through the customs union agreement. I mean, I'm working, or BCCT, we're working with a company at this moment in time who is looking to set up its operations here in Turkey. And they see that as an opportunity. This company I'm talking about are very much into sustainable materials, renewable materials, very much environmentally friendly. I can't tell you the details of the organisation, but they've already registered the company here. They're looking to recruit some personnel. So things are moving forward, and that's just one example of what UK companies could be looking at Turkey in order to increase their presence, not just in Turkey but within the region.
Within the region, nice. So you are telling that the free trade agreement will be expanded.
That's the intention.
Which sectors are included now, and what other sectors will be added?
Well, agriculture currently is not in the free trade agreement, but the expectation is
important
that agriculture will be included in the new negotiation. I mean, there are other areas like services, financial services that could be expanded. So yeah, I mean, we have a good. The free trade agreement as it stands is pretty much what we had before. So
it's pretty the same.
But it could be better, and it will be better.
Okay, I see. So I would like to talk about tourism sector a little bit, because with this climate change and fires, we didn't have the performance expected from tourism sector. It wasn't a very, very good summer, especially. And so we know that Turkey is in the red list for UK, unfortunately, because of COVID-19. So when we will get out of this red list, what do you think? Because English people were coming a lot to, they love Turkey.
Absolutely, absolutely, and it's a big frustration.
It's a big
for British people not being able to come to Turkey. I mean, I'm not party to the government's policies. I mean, it affects me personally because I can't travel to UK, and for my family, and there's lots of people who have family or friends, either Turkish families who've got children in UK, and you can't visit. So it's a very difficult situation. But COVID is COVID, and governments have to take protection measures in order to ensure. I mean, I think the biggest worry is the bringing new variants into a country, and I think that's probably the basis of why Turkey is on the red list. I mean, COVID infections have gone up recently, which is unfortunate. Maybe that's to do with tourists coming into Turkey from Russia or from other countries. So hopefully, the next review is going to be in 2 or 3 weeks' time in UK. So hopefully, it'll be reviewed, and maybe things have improved, and maybe we can get Turkey off the red list.
Yes.
But I mean, COVID is causing all of us a lot of frustration and a lot of difficulty. I mean, my son caught COVID 2 weeks ago in UK, and it's okay. He's young, yes. And he had his vaccination, so his headache and a sore throat, he was fine. But I couldn't go, and so it is difficult, and we all want to see Turkey off the red list.
Okay, I hope we will be out of the red list very soon and get out of this COVID-19 very soon.
Yes,
Thank you very
absolutely.
much, Chris.
No, it was a pleasure.
Thank
you.
Thank you.